So, good afternoon. My name is Angela Henson, and I mainly provide services out of the Piketon office. Today, I'm sorry. Oh, I think someone just had some background on. Okay. So, today I'll be going over the exiting employee checklist with payout owed to the employee. I will be going over each step on the checklist, but I will also show you how to calculate the last pay and paying off the employee and a few little tricks that I like to have. Okay? So, to get to the checklist, first I want to show you this. Of course, now keep in mind, I'm in a demo account. So when you log into your account, and I'm going to point this out right now, my demo account is set for February 26th. Yours, hopefully it's not set to February. So, but anyways, I just want to show you that because the dates I'm using is going to be in February. So just to get to the checklist, you can get to it from your screen here. You can just click on Help and then click on Documentation. USPS User Guide. And this is going to take you to the USPS face page for SSDT. And then you're going to scroll down until you see Appendix at the very, very bottom. And then you're going to click on that. And then you're going to click on Checklist. So it goes from UPS to Appendix to Checklist. And it's the very first one. Okay. Now, instead of just printing a screen like this, you can actually click on the three little dots right here in the right-hand corner and do export. And if you click on that, you can get a Word document or a PDF document. I suggest to do a Word document. That way you can update this to have anything for your school, customize it just for your school district and for you. So since I've already got this, I've got it right here, the checklist. So let's, there we go. Can everybody, yeah, it looks pretty good. So now, one thing I want to show you about when I was telling you about making the checklist your own. See, this is the checklist that I exported from the demo or from SSDT. It's just a plain checklist. There's nothing special about it. And then it talks about, it talks about the checklist is integrated for general guidelines only. Your ITC may supply another one. Meta does not have a checklist because we know each school district is different. And you can download the checklist as a PDF, but we prefer you to do it as a Word document. And that way you can customize it to your own school. Now, this is what mine looks like. You see how this is the employee that I have that is leaving. It got a little wonky when I saved it as a PDF, but the last day worked, I have it, and the reason is retired. Now I've got this all the way down through my document of things, and you'll see later, I'll show you some other things on it. That way I will have everything that I need on this one checklist, and I can check things off as I go. And then if I have to come back, because she might leave now in February and she's got to be reported for EMIS, but the EMIS doesn't close until like August. So I don't want to forget about her. I want to come back and finish closing her out. Okay. And then you can customize this. If you want to put on here things like if you don't want to give your employee the last check until you've checked with the principals and make sure they've turned anything, if they've got school keys, you can have them to make sure, check with the principals that they've turned in the keys for the school district and anything else that they need to turn back in. So that way you can check mark this. It just doesn't help you, it helps the district too. So as we go on, now here's the main one that you will see. Okay. Oops, got a little ahead of myself there. Sorry about that. Okay. This checklist can be used when employees is terminating their employee along with paying them for any work days but not yet paid and any accrued wages, which we already know that. So the first one says, number one, update the employee record. The one thing about this checklist I'm going to point out is that this checklist also has, for some reason, it's got a number 5 there, and then it's got a number 5 here. It's a short checklist. It states there's only nine items on it. But even if you change those two fives to make it normal, the first number 1 and number 9 is exactly the same thing. So you can remove one of them. And that's what I had done on my checklist. Instead of having update the employee record as the first one, update on the employee record, I would take that off and then use number 2 as 1. Now that's just my suggestion. Or if you want to use number 1 there and then take number 9 off, you can do that too. So over to the demo account. So it says update employee record. So let's go over here to core and employee. You can do either one. You can use the core and go to them, or you can do the dashboard. For right now, I'm just going to show you. This is Bell. Bell. I'm looking for Mary Bell. And it states to update the employee and her termination date. So you're going to scroll down to under dates. And then you're going to put in a date here of her last work date. And her last work date is February 13th. I'm going to put that in and save it. Okay. So the next one says update the position record. Now, before I do this, I want to show you what mine looks like on that. Update the position record. So I have, and I missed this one here. I like to make the highlight these like stop date and separation date. So you need to find some things out. First, it says in the stop date field, enter a date equaling the last day. Okay. In the separation date field, enter the equaling last day. That should be separation date and reason. For EMIS purposes, verify and update the correct number of hours in the hours in the day field and correct the number of days in the contract workday field and the contract amount. So before we do that, it's saying it needs the work days. So we know that she left on February 13th. So how to do that? I want to get this before we go to her position. If you have your job calendar set up and they are correct, you can go in here and pull up the job calendar. So now I know her job calendar started on July 1st of 25, and I know her work date last day was February 13th. So I know that the sorry about that. The custom date from 7/1/25 to stop date 2/13/26. The reason why I want to show you this, if you look right above it, it says custom date range is 140. That changed. If I put in a different date, you will see how that changed again? So I'm going to put it back to the date she left, and it is 140. And I know that's correct because I already counted her days up. So she's got 140 days. So that's an easy way for you to get a count on how many days she has. So this time I want to go to the dashboard. I'm looking for Bell. And we're going to go to position. Now, sorry about this. Before we go to position, we need to figure up her new contract amount. So let's go to compensation first. For her compensation, what I need to know is her contract amount is $99,000 and her contracted work days are 250. Now, if you look down here where I did all my calculations at, let me come on down here, you will see, bring it up a little bit higher, you will see that the full contract amount is 99,000 and you divide it by the full days worked, which it gives you the daily rate of 396. So if we look at her daily rate, unit rate is 396, which is correct. So now we take the 140 days, the days that she worked, and times it by her daily rate, and that comes up to the $55,440. You guys know how to do that. That's fine. The reason why I suggest to put it on the sheet is because when your auditors come in and you have someone that leaves, retires, or something, they usually ask and have those people pulled, and they always ask, how did you calculate the amounts? And if you already have everything out here, and then they can just go in on the screens and look at that, they can see how you calculated the amounts and what you paid them on the last pay. So now we know that her last pay is 55.44, and I put that up here. Her job, her contract work days is 140, and days in the how many hours of the day? Usually that doesn't change. You can enter that anyways. So now we're going to go to position. We're going to do number two now. So number two stated in the stop date field. So one thing I want to show you, if you have your screen blowed up really big, you will notice over to the side it says start date. You won't see anything else over here. So the only way you can see that is if you make it just a little bit smaller. And now you will see that the stop date is in there. And you can go ahead and enter a stop date in here. This is not going to hurt anything to enter the stop date right now. You're still going to be able to pay her. We're going to enter the separation date and separation reason. Now, this is getting your EMIS all set. She is retired, but if you notice, there's other ones. Employer initiated, maybe you had to fire someone. Took another job outside of the field of education. Maybe they quit and just went somewhere else and got another job. Resigned, took another job in education in Ohio. Maybe they're leaving your school and they found another job at another school. So resigned, took another education job outside the state. Maybe they moved across country or to another state. And then number 7, which could be a possible reason for a lot of these, you just don't know. They didn't tell you why they did. They're just leaving. That just means that you don't know if it's number 4, 5, or 6. Number 8 is they took another position in your school district. Maybe they moved up or went from a teacher to administration or something. And number 9 is deceased. So for this one here, it is number 1. Over here, you will see the EMIS override contract amount, EMIS override contract work days, and EMIS override hours in the day. Whatever is in these 3 fields, they will override anything that is in their compensation. That means whatever you put in here, that is what it will be reported to EMIS. Now, keep in mind, I know some schools that will do this to report things for teachers and they don't leave. You have to clear these out each year before you start your new EMIS, or this will be reported the next year. If you leave this amount in here for an employee that doesn't leave and let's say you put in 50,000 and they're actually getting paid 65. Well, let's say 2 years down the road, you're thinking, why is she getting that? Why she's being reported for this? You come in here and you haven't cleared out your EMIS fields. That could be a reason for that. You could check here. So for right now, the contract amount is now going to be $55,440 because that's what we calculated. Her days worked is going to be 140. And just because I know we're going to put 7.5. Okay, we're going to save that. So we're done with number two. So number three, it says update the compensation record. In the compensations, put a stop date on the calendar stop date field. Enter a date equaling the last day the employee worked. This will stop all ODJFS weeks and retirement days at that point. So it will calculate anything up to it, but once that point is stopped, it will stop that. Make sure that the calendar stop day and all compensations compensations no longer used with active calendars include archived compensations. Okay, and then it says uncheck the stretch box, pay box if applicable, and save click. So let's go back to our demo. So now we're out of here. So now we're going to the compensation. So let's edit this. And in the compensation, let's make this bigger, it states we're going to put a compensation stop date, February 12th. That just means it's going to pay everything, 13th, sorry about that. It's going to pay everything up to the 13th. And then it also states to put a calendar stop date in here of the last workday, February 13th. And then it says stretch pay. Uncheck that because we only want to pay them out one more time and we don't need anything stretched. We want to pay off the accrued wages, and this way we can pay the accrued wages off. So now save this. And then one thing it talks about, let's see here. It talks about for the calendar stop date, you have to check all the other positions. So I clicked include archived, and instead of going through each one, I just brought in from more the calendar stop date, and that is at the very bottom. I will show you this. It's under calendar dates, and there's a calendar stop date in there, and you can just check mark that, and that will show on your grid. And as you can see, everything has a calendar stop date in it now. So we're good there. So number three has been all taken care of now. Now we're on to number four. Update any pay records. Okay, make necessary adjustments to any pay records. So back to the demo account. So we're going to pay records, pay items. We're in pay items now. Now, one thing you need to make sure, if they have insurance, if they have paid it, you need to check everything. So what happens if this employee just up and says, I'm going to quit today or tomorrow? And that's it. They don't give you any notice, and you have already taken out insurance for the next month. You've already taken out pays for, let's say, there's insurance, eye care, a couple other things, maybe something for the district, and you have to pay these back. So one thing you can do is go in to your pay item. You need to remove the rate. And since this is, split between months, it was $200. So I know I've already checked I owe her $100 back. On this one here, I don't want to put a stop date in it yet because I need this record to pay her back $100. So we're going to go down to the bottom and we're going to do an adjustment. Do you see there's two adjustments here? Oops, went too far. Okay, one adjustment is an error adjustment, and that's for the employee. The other one is an employer adjustment. So if you took amounts out for the employee and the employer, you might have to have two adjustments in here. That way it will correct the system. But if not, and you only have the employee, which I'm going to show you, you're going to click create. Now I'm going to put an amount. You have to have a negative amount in here. You don't have to put a pay date in here because if you do put a pay date in there, you can put one in for a certain payroll, but we're wanting them paid out on the next one. If you leave it blank, it is going to pay out anything that is on the next payroll if you leave that date blank. And then here I'm just going to put a suggestion of like retired, payback, um, March insurance. The box here it says paid, and this down here it says date paid. Once I save this, you'll see that those are shown. Once this runs through payroll and you come back and look at this, that is going to be check marked and it's going to have a date in here. It's going to have the pay date that it paid, and the paid is going to be check marked. Okay? Oh, I'm sorry. I do see that there is questions in the chat.
Yeah.
Carol,
Yeah, I answered some of those, but they might be good to mention in the recording, Angie.
okay, that's
Um,
fine.
so I don't know if you want me to just kind of summarize what.
Sure, go
So
ahead.
some people were asking about on the compensation record, the
Uh-huh.
compensation stop date. Because in your example, it's very straightforward. Okay, you're just going to use the last day they worked of February 13. That's going to be
Uh-huh.
the same for the calendar stop date.
Yes,
But depending on how the payrolls run at the districts, because everybody does something a little different,
yes,
sometimes the compensation stop date could be different than what you're putting in for the calendar stop date. And that's
yes, I
just
am sorry about that.
because, yeah, and that's just because, maybe they're going to be paid that last pay, and that 213 date is not in the payroll start and end date range. So in
Correct.
order for them to be paid, that stop date does have to be in that range for the payroll for them to be included in. And then somebody else had an example of even though they have an employee that maybe they're leaving February 13,
Hmm.
at their district, they may continue paying them whatever is owed for accrued wages on their contract through August or whatever the last pay on the contract is. So there are
Okay,
some districts that do it that way. So that's just another example of when the compensation stop date might be different compared to the calendar stop date.
sure, sure. I'm sorry, I didn't catch those up
Yep,
there.
no problem. I didn't want to
Okay,
interrupt you just yet, so
yeah, I'm just doing a straightforward where an employee leaves
yep,
and the compensation stop date falls within the next payroll.
yep,
So,
yep.
okay. So, sorry about that, guys. I should have stated that first. Okay, so we are on the pay items still. So now we got the pay items taken care of. One thing, let me see here. You need to do is you can actually put a stop date on other pay items that you need to. And one easy way to do that, we know it has to have federal tax, state tax, city tax, the retirement, but you can put in type. And if you're on, like, put in an A for annuity, all of these, all except the first ones, you can actually go in and see who needs a stop date. And if you have to do a mass change, there is a step in here to do mass change to change all those after the payroll is done. But if you need to do a mass change, you can mass change the stop date on these. You can also actually bring in from more the stop date and see what needs to be stopped so you don't actually bring those out on payroll. One easy way to see that is once you get everything in and you start payroll, check their earnings register, and it will show you everything that's being pulled out of the pay for this payroll. So I don't know why those two items weren't kind of back to back, but closer to it. But it says make any adjustments needed for payroll at this time. Okay, number 5. This is where I want to show you my document over here. Because it says number 5 is manually calculate the amount owed to the employee and process the employee's final payment. So I've already calculated the two top lines for number 2. So what is owed? So you can get all this information from their compensation. So we're going back to compensation. And you need to see the obligation, what the amount is earned, the amount paid, and accrued wages. So, yes, I thought I heard something. Did someone have a question? Okay, we'll move on. To calculate this, we'll go to the contract amount, worked amount, which is that is how much we contracted up here, where we took the 140 times the daily rate, and we come up with 5544, and that's what we have here. And then I subtracted this from the $50,000, $50,361. That is the amount paid. I got that from the compensation. And it says what we need to pay is $5,079 needs to be paid, what is owed to the employee. Now, if I take the owed amount and subtract the accrued wages, which was $3,564, that comes up to $1,515, which is the rest of the contract. Now, how you can cross-check this is if you take the contract amount worked, amount owed, sorry, then what is the new contract, the 5540, and subtract amount earned, that is 53,925. And it equals the 1,550, which is what we made up here. And then if you take this amount of the rest of the contract and add it to the accrued wages, it comes up to the $5,079 that needs to be paid owed, which comes up here to when we subtract the 55,000 from the amount that is paid. Is there any questions? Most of you know how to calculate this. I was just trying to show you how to cross-check it and how to lay it out. Like I said, if you put this on the paper, your auditors come in and say, how'd you come up with this? You can just hand them this, or it's in their file. And if you say it's in their file, they can look at it themselves. So now we need to calculate this and process it. So let's go one down. It says if the employee is in stretch pay, the stretch pay has been marked. Well, we unchecked that already because it already had that up here. So it's already unchecked. So next, we need to fill in our amounts. So let me make sure this is, okay, yep, we're in edit mode. The one thing you need to change, contract days, contract work days. My light went out in my office. Contract days is now 140 because that's how many contract days he worked. And then the amount per pay, we know that is only going to be 1,015. Now, contract amount, I'm going to change that to the 5540. I'm going to leave the contract obligation because if you ever come in back in here, you want to see what he was actually or what your employee was actually um, contracted for in the very first place. Then that could just be for purposes on future hires. They want to see what other employees in this position was paid for. Now, this is one trick. It doesn't say this anywhere on your thing. I like to change pays in contract. If you see it says paid amount, pays paid is 12, just change this to the next one and be 13. That way I know that everything's going to be paid out on this last pay. And it's also going to give you on the pay, an error thing saying it's only informational. It'll say last pay on employee, and that's what you want. And we got the stop date already in here, and everything else looks good. Okay, so now you're going to save it. All right. So what else did it state on here? Enter the miscellaneous pay, various pay, and retire. Usually retirement is not withheld on in miscellaneous pays. Okay, miscellaneous pays. So this is where you want to go back into your position. And on the position, you want to see, okay, they've got personal leave, sick leave, and vacation leave. So now I want to go back to leaves or go to leaves, sorry. And I want to see if there's a balance. Oh, there's a balance of 4 vacation days. Looks like they've used all their personal and sick leave, but they have 4 vacation days. So on your paper, I have put vacation days 4 times the daily rate. So they're also owed vacation payout. So now they have the 5,079 that's owed, the 1,584 for vacation payout equals 6,600. So that's what your total pay for them should be on the last pay. So now after this, let's go to the demo count. So now in here, I want you to go to payroll. And you can't do this in current, you have to do it in future. So we're going to create. We're going to go to Bell, that's your employee, and position 5. And she has got 10 days left. First of all, before we do that, let's do this one here. We're just going to do pay off accrued wages. Do you see the rate changed? That's how much their accrued wages are. Now, if you save this, it automatically pays off the accrued wages. Okay. So now we're going to create employee 5. So now this is going to be a miscellaneous pay. And she had 4 vacation days. And that's at the daily rate. And you are going to save. And that's the 1,548. So, and you can take on the, when it goes over to future, you can take and put a description. Right here's the description. You can change this. And on the other one, you could put accrued wages. And this one here is vacation payout. Okay, save it. And then we're going to create another one for her, which is her last pay. Because the reason why you have to bring her into future pay is because we stopped no, that's a good question. One thing is, It says unchecked liable for vacation. Vacation does not, any leave paid out does not get retirement taken out of it. Okay, good question on that. I was going to touch on that at the end. So, and this one here is last pay. You need to uncheck the applied for retirement. Yes, you do. You need to uncheck that. Not on this one here. This one here is going to be last pay. This is going to be a regular pay. And we've got 10 days on it. You're correct. I will go back and check that. And that should be okay. Now, let's go back to vacation. And we're going to uncheck applied for retirement. Because, like I said, they do not. This one here is your vacation. It does not get retirement taken out of it. Okay? Okay. Is there any other questions on this right now? So if you add up all three of these, it comes up to the $6,663. And you can check that when you run your earnings register. And before you even do that, once you get over, I don't know if some of you know that most of you know this, is once you go to current, if you click on a certain person, you can do a pay report right there and check the pay report. I mean, not earnings register, pay report. Sorry about that. The pay report. Check the pay report, and that way you can get anything before you run pay, before you start processing anything, and you can check to make sure everything's in there. But if you just click one, even if you have a bunch of people, you can just check the ones. You'll check her three, and then you'd click pay report. And that way you can check to see what deduction she has coming out. Make sure that she's got her insurance paid back to them. And you can even calculate and make sure nothing, let's say you skip the vacation like I did the first time, you can check and make sure that the vacation is not getting taken out of, retirement is getting taken out of the vacation. Okay? All right, so we calculate the final pay. This should be number 6, which I don't know why they have two fives in here, but that's why I said you can update this and make it your own. After last pay is completed for the employee, update the payroll item records to add stop dates. Now, if you click this here, that's just going to go and you see it come up here to my downloads. If you go back to payroll items, let's go to Bell. Payroll items. Now that everything's been paid for, she's not coming back, she's already been paid, everything's good, you can just leave everything in here and click Mass Change now. So this is after the pay has been taken care of. Now my screen looks a little different. You might not have this. If you don't have this at all, if you don't have Mass Change at all at the very beginning, that means you don't have Mass Change access. If you come in here and you don't have maintenance mode where you can import, you just click import here, and then you can click on this, and I open it, and you see how it filled everything in, and then I can save it. That will bring this in. If you don't have this access, you might just have execution mode. And then you can select here, pay item stop date, and I want to use let's go ahead and use the 2/13 date. And then you submit Mass Change, and that will Mass Change everything in here, their stop dates. Okay? So if you don't have access to this and you want it, talk to your treasurer. Maybe there's a reason why you don't have it. If your treasurer or if you have that mass change, but you want to add the be able to import things. Maybe that you're the new treasurer and you don't have that access. You can request that through a help desk ticket through Meta. So, all right. Or, like it states here, you can go in and manually change them. You know how to do that? You just go in, edit one, and put a stop date in it here. And just select the stop date and save it. Okay. Uncheck position, flags for leaves. So now, the reason why you want to do this is you go to positions and edit. You want to make sure you uncheck eligible for leaves as soon as they get done with their last pay and save it. Because if you do not, when you give accrue leave for the next month, if you don't stop these now, this will continue to accrue for this employee. It will, that's how you get when you print out a report and you're like, how come is this person on here? You can come in here and check and see if maybe they've left a couple years ago, maybe they left a couple months ago, and you're like, why is it still on here? You need to come in here and remove the flags. That will stop this from coming in altogether and having accruements on that, on the employee. Okay. Number 7, let's put this up. Discuss how the employee will receive their W-2s. Now, before I do this, since W-2s is something that is date sensitive and you have to have them out in the mail before January, the end of January 30th, 31st, one of the two, at the end of January, what you should do is on their paychecks, check with your district. You can put this in your checklist. That's why I said customize it. Put it in there. Say check with the check with everyone, check with their principals, or if it's a teacher or their supervisors, and make sure they've paid it not paid, turned in everything like their keys, if they've got a laptop, if all that, because you don't want to hand them more money and they still have your stuff. You may never get it back then. So you could either do that after their last pay, during the last pay, and you just hold their check. Some people do it when they have their W-2. They come in and say, you need to turn this in. You haven't turned this in yet. We have your W-2 ready. Bring it in when you pick up your W-2. You could do that too. So you can add another step in here and say, check with bill supervisors to see if they have anything that needs to be turned in. So number 7 says, discuss how the employee will receive their W-2. Well, you can either have it mailed or you can pick it up, or there's now ESS. That's the Employee Service Center. You can check with either one of them. If it's ESS and they actually want to come in to pick it up, you can have them go into ESS before they leave and revoke consent to get a digital W-2 only. So that way you know that they're going to get a paper W-2. Okay? So number 8, through my notes here, make sure I got everything. Okay. Number 8, after employee has been through one EMIS reporting collection, that means she's leaving in February. This EMIS collection doesn't end until August. So you'll need to wait until the EMIS reporting period is completely done with. We always say wait until the next one opens up. That way you can go in here and before you actually run a collection and archive all your old employees and stuff. Well, here you need to make sure before you archive them that they are not reported to EMIS anymore. So this here's a unchecked reporting. So once they've been reported to EMIS with a separation date and reason, then you come back into their demo count. We go to employee, and employee is right down here above the dates. Report to EMIS. Yep, general information. Uncheck that, save it. Position. The position is reportable to EMIS. Make sure you uncheck that and you uncheck the compensation. The reason why we say uncheck these, we've had things in the past where if they are still checked and then you just archive them, then they throw a fatal error on your EMIS. Why? I don't know. Maybe they haven't been reported correctly, but something like that when you don't want that. So make sure that you uh, uncheck them to report to EMIS, save them, and then you can archive them now once they are done. And you can, that is, if you archive the employee, you can come in, you can archive their compensations, you can archive their positions. That way they don't show up on the positions anymore, and you can archive the employee fully. So, and that is, where's it at? Where is it at? Employee archived right here, right in the center. So you get out of that now. All right. And then, like I said, number one is the same as number nine. Update the employee record after employee has been paid in the the termination date field. Enter a date equaling the last day the employee worked. Well, we've already done that because that was number one. So you can either take number one out or take it and leave it on number nine, however you want to do it. That is up to you. That's why I say that when you download it, download this from the website, from the SSDT website as a Word document. And then once you get this, then you can, customize it like I did mine. I did all this here. I have all this stuff. I have where you can circle. I had things marked up. You can put anything you want in it. You can make it blanks where you can just use it over and over. So you can have for each employee. But that way you have something to give to the auditors. You have something you can check with yourself. Plus it helps you cross check and you don't have this on a bunch of different papers. It's on one document. And this way you can have them paid out. Because normally if you pay someone out this late in the year, you kind of forget about it once it comes up at the end of EMIS time. So, is there any other questions? Again, I want to reply. The On your leaves, there is no retirement taken out on leaves. Okay? Okay. One thing I just want to state again, next Tuesday is the roundtables for the fiscal year and for fiscal year end preliminaries. That's going to be USAS at 9 o'clock, and the USPS is going to be in the afternoon at 1. And then on June 4th, we will have the uh, fiscal year end meetings. That's going to be an in-person meeting in the morning, and it's going to start at 9 o'clock. And then the meeting in the afternoon is going to be Zoom meeting. So if you don't want to come in, you can watch it by Zoom. It's going to be the same exact meeting, and it's going to start at 1 o'clock. So is there any other questions? Team, did I forget anything? Well, I appreciate you all attending this meeting, and this will be posted out on our website under the YouTube channel. Keep in mind, the only thing it's under the YouTube channel is not would be the roundtables, and they are on their own place at the very bottom. So we come here to the YouTube channel. That's where this meeting will be. And then the roundtables are down here under roundtable discussions. All right. So I hope everybody has a great day and I hope everything turns out well for you. If you need us, you can contact us through the help desk or give us a call or email us. So have a great day, everybody.